Disclaimer, this podcast discusses mental health. It is not a substitute for professional medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. If you're struggling with your mental health, please remember it's okay to ask for help and seek the appropriate help through a qualified healthcare professional.
Welcome back to the podcast where we ask the question, what makes you happy? My name is Jake Pearson, and today we have with us the Law of Attraction author and Hypnosis audio creator who has dedicated their life to empowering people all over the world. We have Victoria Gallagher from Phoenix, Arizona, United States. How are you?
I'm wonderful. How are you?
I'm doing really well, thank you. Despite just getting up, I feel like I can just flick that switch and get into the podcast zone really quickly. But thank you for coming on the podcast to share all things that make you happy. Victoria, tell me, what does make you happy?
Oh my goodness. I could give you a whole list. As a matter of fact, I was just coming up the stairs with my afternoon coffee, and this cup is, you're drinking your morning coffee.
Yep.
This cup is the epitome of happiness. It says, after the cat, honey, of course, you're number one. That just absolutely, I'm drinking my coffee out, so I love coffee. And I love cats, and I love my husband. I love being cozy.
Yep.
You know, like that is one of the things that I've learned about myself recently that I like. And so I came up with this thing called the cozy test. And it's like and really what it does is it keeps you honest and it keeps you in integrity with everything. You know, with other people. And so I've invented this rule that, and that keeps me happy, is like everything that comes in the house, every person, my app that I'm creating, my cup of coffee, how I sleep at night, what I'm wearing, it has to pass the cozy test. And then I'm going to also just add into that finally, that I love inspiring people. I think that is actually what I have been put on this earth to do. It took a little while to really define who am I, who is Victoria, what do I do? And it doesn't matter if it's for personal life or business life, it all really kind of comes down to one thing. I want to be the inspiration.
Wonderfully said, and I think that really coincides with what we do here at What Makes You Happy Too, showing people what is possible and what they can do to try and find that happiness. But they may be listening to this podcast because they are struggling to find that happiness. And I know the listeners really like to hear every guest's unique perspective on what they can do to find happiness. So Victoria, what would you say to our listeners and our audience right now who is struggling to find that thing that makes them happy in their life?
It really comes down to realizing that happiness is not something that you're going to have someday. It's not something that, there's nothing else that's going to make you happy. It's a choice, and that choice really starts with just being here now and being in the present moment and accepting that every single moment in life is a gift, even if it's those moments that are uncomfortable. Those moments actually are, if you can be present with those moments, there's something for you to learn and grow from. And it's a journey. And, there's never going to be that time where you're going to say, oh, I've arrived at happiness, right? It's going to be up and down. It's like few days ago, I'm like, I'm on a good trend. I'm feeling happy all the time. And then boom, something comes along and shakes up your universe a little bit. And you're like, okay, still have more to grow, still have more to learn. And, so if you can just embrace the moment and appreciate what is this moment giving to me? How is it making me a better person and growing? I think you're going to find yourself becoming and being more, happier. And then, of course, if all else fails, you get yourself a cup of coffee or tea and a cat, and you just hug your cat, and then you can be happy in that moment.
Wonderfully said, Victoria. Thank you so much for your time and sharing all things that make you happy. We really do appreciate your insights. Thank you.
Thanks for listening to the podcast. We hope it gives you something to think about on your quest to discover what makes you happy. Make sure to check out whatmakesyyouhappypodcast.com to connect with today's guest and follow us on all our social media platforms, and to stay up to date at what's happening next at What Makes You Happy. Don't forget to share this episode with a friend, and we'll see you next time.